We're migrating 3 Bubble apps with thousands of users to Supabase. We found that if you understand Bubble's data tab, you already understand 80% of Supabase. In this video, I'll show you how everything in the data tab exists in Supabase and much more. We'll cover how the users type becomes the auth table, setting up custom data types, privacy rules become RLS policies, file storage becomes buckets. For those new here, I run a dev agency and school community. We'll use AI to do all the heavy lifting. This video can be watched on its own, but FYI, this is a series where I show how to build a simple marketplace using Next.js plus Supabase. Playlist link below. Let's start. So when you create a new Supabase account, you can create an organization and a new project. Just name ours marketplace, give it a strong password, and you can choose where you want to host this as well. When you've created a new project, it takes a little bit of while for the database to spin up. This is a brand new cloud instance of Supabase for your project spinning up. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Supabase can feel a little bit overwhelming at first, whereas Bubble is simple. One of the reasons being Supabase is a backend as a service, so it's very feature rich in its backend as a service capabilities, whereas Bubble is a full stack. So we're comparing one tab of Bubble with the entire product of Supabase. That's why Supabase will feel a bit more polished, more overwhelming at first in the beginning. What do we do first? We come here, we make some tables, we add listing for our marketplace. We'll create a table and we'll create some types. How do we do that here? So we do this by going to the database section in the left menu sidebar. We don't have any tables at the moment, so we can just click here to create a new table. This will open this modal, create table. We can add listings, enable RLS. There's a whole bunch of options here. We can add columns here of all sorts of different data types, which is fields. We can also add other properties that this has to be unique. For example, a unique ID needs to be unique, nullable, array. Now, this can feel a little bit overwhelming. What makes this super easy is that we have a very helpful AI assistant, and we can ask it to just create our tables for us. We can ask it to create dummy data for us. We can ask it to create privacy rules for us as well. So in Bubble, you would have like the privacy rules tab that's called RLS policies. So the first time you initialize this, you may be asked like to set permissions, something like this. So just allow permissions for the AI assistant to access the schema, logs, database. If you've got something sensitive, you can get schema only or disable it if you want. But I prefer using schema, logs, and database so that we can get moving quickly, especially on seed data, not production data. So now what we need to do is just simply, I'd like to create a listings table with 2 columns, name and description. Only the listing owner should be able to edit the listing, and listings are public for anonymous users as well. So this type of instruction should be sufficient. Check the schema and see it's blank, and then it will just try and understand the query and come up with a bit of an English description of what needs to be done. Okay, so it's I'll create a listings table in public. That's the public schema here. Okay, so it says I'll create the listings table with columns ID, so a unique ID, generate random UUID, the name, description, owner is the UUID, that's the user ID, and enable RLS policies, allow, select is viewing, okay, reading, select, that's what select means, and only the owner can insert, update, or delete. So create a thing, make changes to thing, and delete a thing. Only the owner can do these 3. Anybody can view listings, okay? Auth.uid just means current user. And SQL is should I make this change? Now, I've got a button here, run query. We can try and read this if you want. So create table is fairly straightforward. Then it's got a small database trigger to create the timestamp. Okay, we don't really need this. It's just sometimes AI adds things and I have to keep telling it, don't just add extra stuff. But it has added this date timestamp. Let me just ask no timestamps for now, just to keep things simple. So it's okay, let me just reduce complexity. We're learning here at the moment. So now it's create listings table, enable RLS policies, that's enable privacy rules. Then it's a case of anonymous can select listings, so public can view it. Authenticated users can view them as well. This one says the owner can insert, create a thing. This one says the owner can update, make changes to thing. This one says the owner can delete a thing. So this is something which Bubble, I think, doesn't actually have, being able to extremely granularly, like this user is allowed to edit the thing at the database level. Of course, in the front end workflows, you can do like what workflows you create, don't create, that's a different thing. But at the database level, it's like, okay, if this current user does not match, I'm not allowed to even make changes to the thing, regardless of what the JavaScript code says. Okay, so I'll just run this query, and now it will just apply this SQL query onto this database table. This success has happened. I don't see it here. If I refresh the page, it will be visible. It's a little bit of a quirk in the AI assistant and the Supabase dashboard, but I don't want my thread to lose context. So I'll just refresh the page here. So this listings, so it does exist now. Okay. We just created some listings. We just created some privacy rules. What is the next most common thing we do? We try and create some dummy data in the listings themselves as well. We can ask the AI assistant to create some dummy data, but we don't have a user in the system yet. Okay. The equivalent of the users table is actually also built in. Instead of database, you look at authentication. Okay. So the authentication users, there's no user at the moment in the project. This is the default built-in user database table. So I can add a user in the system. Let's just use test@ascitech.com for email and password and create a user. So now I've got a particular user in the system, and I've got lots of these knobs from the Supabase dashboard to send password recovery, send magic link, ban user, remove multi-factor. So as I mentioned in the beginning, like Supabase is a backend as a service. So it's a lot more comprehensive, which is good. Whereas Bubble, we're trying to combine one Bubble tab as a whole complete product. So there's a lot more here. For example, multi-factor authentication, emails, what the email is going to look like and how it is, email branding is here. You can do rate limits for sending emails. There's a whole bunch of like when the sessions are refreshing, other sign-in providers like sign in with Apple, sign in with Azure, sign in with GitHub, Google. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that's just the user auth tab. Okay. Back to our focus. Let's add just one other user. We'll add test2@ascitech.com also with a password. We want some listings like with some users, some listings with the different users. Now, all I need to do to get some dummy data, I'll just ask the assistant. I just created 2 users in the auth table. Can you create 4 listings, one of the users and 2 for the other user? Now, you do have to give it context, okay? It doesn't automatically, magically read. It can read and query the database, but it's a little bit of context. Oh, did this get blocked or something? Okay. So it's just querying the user table to get them, let it run the query. And once it has the 2 users, then it can, for some reason, I think it blocked this, or maybe it just, oh yeah, it wanted to get the unique IDs as well. Okay, found the UUIDs. So it's just gonna test listing 1, description test listing done. Yeah, just all this SQL is doing, it's nothing complicated, by the way. It's like insert, let me just open this. So insert into this table, name, description, owner, and it just randomly dummy data. So if I go to my database, no, actually, the equivalent of app data in Supabase is not database, the table editor. Okay. If I click here, yeah, okay. So now I've got 4 listings in my database linked with the right owner as well. 2 of them are linked with test and 2 of them are linked with test2. If you're serious about this transition, subscribe to the channel. I plan on posting weekly about Bubble and transitioning to AI code, okay? What did we just do? We created a data type. We created some privacy rules, RLS policies. We created some dummy data in the system. We created some dummy users in the system, and we created some dummy data in the system linked with those 2 users as well. And we went everything through AI. I cannot write this at all. Okay. All I knew was how to ask AI to do the right thing. Okay. And it's fairly similar. Sometimes what I do is I'll give a Bubble explanation and say, this is what I do in Bubble. And then it's like, what is this in code? And then it'll, oh, this is what it is in code. So an example of that is like option sets. Okay. So option sets, let's say we want a status option set, active, inactive. Nice and simple. Okay. What would be the equivalent here? I want a listing status, active and inactive. Okay. So in Bubble, I would make it, then I'd add a column here in the listing, the status, then I'd go to the app data and fix the 4 listings in my database, which is like, okay, status, active, inactive, whatever I want to do. The same pattern has to be repeated here. Okay. If you ask AI agents of the option set equivalent in code, some of them may suggest enums. Okay. Enums are slightly tricky because you can change option sets easily. Enums are harder to change. Enums are more useful for things like days of the week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something extremely fixed like months in a year. Okay. But the moment you have something which you want a little bit like, maybe you want to change it. Maybe I add another status like pending admin approval later on. Okay, so that's the better way is to have a static data table. So we can do that in Bubble as well. Instead of putting an option set here, we just make a data type listing status and go into the app data, make 2 entries, status equals inactive and inactive 2 entries. And then our do a search queries get a little bit complicated. Option sets are useful for statuses. But here, what do we do? So I'd like to create a listing status table with 2 entries, active and inactive. The RLS policies are anybody can see them. Only make this change. Do not add the status to the existing listings table yet. I'm recording a tutorial, want to go step by step. Sometimes the AI agent, I've done this before, like the AI agent goes ahead and does, oh, let me just do this and let me just do this and let me just do this. So it's like, okay, hold your horses. I want to teach how it's all building up together. But at the moment, it's going to create a listing status table. This should be fairly readable. Create table if it does not exist, listing status, unique ID, name, not null. Insert into this table active and inactive. Okay. And enable our privacy rules. Anybody can view it. Anonymous users can view it and logged in users will view it. So it's fairly straightforward. Like you could argue this is a little bit of English, but I can't write this though. It's like, okay, all this syntax, I have no idea how software engineers used to actually do this. This is hard work. So let me just refresh the page in the other tab. Yeah, so I've got listing status now. I've got 2 entries, active and inactive in it as well. Okay. So now what I want to do is add a column in listings with the related status, kind of like, what I would do here. Go to listing, create a field, option set, data type, that stuff. Add the listing status to the listing table. That should be enough, I think. Sometimes what it does is it uses the name of the listing status, active, inactive, rather than a related status. So the next time, if we want to add another status, it will, the structure will support it. But let's just see, I'll alter public listing to add a status ID column referencing public listing status. So it's referencing, that's fine. And ensure insert update policies allow setting it when the owner matches. Okay, so it's tweaking the privacy rules as well, that only the owner can edit the status column as well, something like that. So alter table, add a column, optional if existing rows have null, set to active. Okay, so this particular thing, this is what we would call a migration in the world of Bubble, that all the data was empty. So instead of leaving it empty, if I had some listings here and I added a status, all of it would be null by default. And that's what this is trying to do. Don't leave anything null. Try and make it like, active. And update policies, authenticated users can insert and owner can update. I don't even know why it's doing this. I think this is not needed. Let me just see. I don't think this is changing anything. I think these are the same ones that we applied. And I can ask it, what is this new policy compared to the existing one? Is it needed? I actually don't like using Supabase's assistant. In subsequent videos, we're going to switch to Claude Code. Claude Code is just way better, way smarter as well. And it just makes less mistakes. So this one is, it's making sure that a user cannot insert some random listing status entry. Okay. Only these 2 active ones are allowed. So it's slightly stricter and better. Okay. Then even for the recommendation, you can keep it simple for the tutorial, you don't really need to do much kind of thing. What would you like it to do? I think one is fine. It's like, you know what, just keep it simple. Don't make it complicated, please. But yeah, these are just more a case of like, okay, we can keep going and make it a lot more robust and over-engineered or correctly engineered. It's just for now, for the sake of learning, let's try and keep things simple and step-by-step layer on these complexities later. So new query is add a column. See, it keeps trying to do stuff, doesn't it? No indexes for tutorial. Index is just to like make it a bit faster to load. But again, no indexes, just keep it simple. So this AI assistant, apart from it being a bit slow, I think it's just like, it's probably like a GPT-5 mini model. It's starting to lose its thread. Claude Code at this point would have just done it and we'll be off to the races. But for the first tutorial, I wanted it to stay within the Supabase dashboard and within Bubble and just do a comparison, not actually do it. I think it just kind of forgot what to do. We can basically edit this part, remove this, and run this query, and it will add the table column to reference it as well. Success, no rows returned. So this is the SQL editor, by the way. You've got like the table editor SQL. You can run queries here, view queries, destructive queries, do anything. So with great power comes great responsibility. Bubble doesn't expose a whole bunch of this stuff. Supabase is a backend as a service. You can do a lot of stuff here, including a lot of damage as well. Let's just reset where we are. We'll go back to the table editor. We'll check. See, it has the status UUID, but it's all null. This is what it was trying to get us to not do. Let me try and just clear this chat and open a new chat and ask it, for the dummy data in the listings table, can you assign 2 of them active and 2 of them inactive as per the listing status table? Now this should run and this should just fill up these as well. It'll look at the schema, look at the table, look at both tables, and then it'll like, okay, let me just create a SQL query and apply this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I just created a new thread. It's as if you just hired a completely new developer and it has no idea about the project anymore. We have the idea, but it doesn't, okay? New thread, new context, blank memory slate, and it has to sort of like relearn everything, okay? So that's one of the more important aspects. I probably will record a separate video when using AI code. Okay, you need to understand that new Claude thread or new any thread, it's just, it has no idea. You have to warm up the thread and make it understand the context before you want to make it execute the thing. You could call this prompt engineering or skill in some aspect, but I had to ask it. It was very specific for the dummy data in the listings table. Can you assign 2 of them active and 2 inactive as per the listing status table? Okay, this was very specific. That's why like, okay, let me just fetch and get these. And then it's like, okay, reason. Yes. So it's warmed up a thread. If I just went straight to make the third row active, it'll be like, what third row or what this? It can't see what we're seeing. Okay. It's one of them is the active query and the other will be the inactive one, I think. Yeah. So if we refresh the page here, let's make this short, refresh the table. These two should refresh. It's verifying. I was like, what is it doing? It's just verifying. While this is thinking, like this video, it really helps spread the word to other no-code devs looking about this transition as well. I plan on posting weekly about Bubble to AI code comparisons in this series. So subscribe to the channel to stay tuned. Am I done or not done? So it's going to be like, yeah, I'm done with my work kind of thing. So we just like created a bit of an option set, linked it with the listings table. In our existing data, we kind of connected the right status here as well. Okay. Again, Claude is faster and can single shot these as well, but this AI assistant is pretty helpful too. Now we've looked at data, privacy, app data, authentication table, and option sets here. File manager, the equivalent of this is this tab, storage. Okay. And you can create what's called buckets for different like types of storage. So is it a public bucket? Is it a private bucket? Or do we restrict the file size here? Do we restrict the MIME type or the allowed images type here? So there's a lot more options here. Again, you can get the AI assistant to create the bucket, and then you can configure policies on the bucket as well, that anonymous users are allowed to see this bucket, anonymous users are not allowed to see this, active listings, inactive listings, a whole bunch of stuff can be like configured here as well. And Yeah, there's other settings here, not at this stage in this tutorial, the schema visualizer. I'm just thinking that what else can I cover in this video? Yeah, one other thing that I'd like to cover in this video is you can verify RLS policies using this interesting trick here, role. So currently we're looking at the database as our admin role, okay? Then I can look at the database as an anonymous role, okay? Anonymous can see all listings as well. Then I can look at the database as an authenticated role, okay? So at the moment, it's fine. If I impersonate test at architect, I can still see all 4 listings because all logged in users can see all listings, okay? I didn't make any sort of like security policy that inactive listings are not allowed to be seen by anybody else. This is a common, like even in Bubble, it's easy to make a mistake that you didn't add the policy based on the status. You did sort of add this on the queries, but not in the privacy rules. But that policy doesn't exist yet. And we can ask our AI assistant, should I use this same thread or make a new one? No, hold thread. Sorry, let me just. Yeah, this is the one which added the status. Okay. So assess the current RLS policies. The right RLS policy would be that inactive listings are not visible to the public or to other users. Only the owner can see all of their listings, including active and inactive. So I've asked it to assess the policies, and we can ask it to tweak them a little bit. And it's like, okay, it's going to fetch and understand the current policies in the system. Previously, it had not fetched the policy. It has only fetched the listing tables. This is the part of managing the AI's context window and memory and understanding. So what is it thinking? Okay, reviewed, current effect, everyone can view, and this authenticated users can see other listings. This is fine. Inactive listings must not be visible. So desired rules, inactive listings must not be visible to the public or other users. Only the user, public may see active only. So proposed changes on public allow select only when the owner or active, and for anonymous only allow when status is active. Keep the insert delete one, those are fine. Keep the status one, those are fine. Concrete SQL to apply. So yeah, this is correct. This is correct. It's the minimal rule changes. This is a YouTube tutorial that I'm explaining, so keep it simple. Okay, so I'll run alter policy to restrict select, which is viewing on public listings for anonymous and authenticated using the known active UUID. So alter policy using status equals this status, this UUID, this is actually active. Yeah, this is active. 51C3, this is active. And authenticated can select if it's owner or the status is active. Okay, so run this query. Once this has run, we should be able to, like, once we are impersonating, so if I go to listings and if I try to impersonate the role, okay, so I refresh and I impersonate as a particular user, then I won't see the other users inactive listings. Let me just refresh the page just to verify this is not just a glitch in the dashboard, which can happen, especially when you're like AI assistant and making these things. Let's check anonymous first. Yeah, so anonymous can select only active, that's fine. And impersonate as test. So test listing 1, test listing 2. I don't see the active listing. Something's glitching. Let me just refresh the page. So I can see all 4. Test 1, test 2. I need to be able to see these, but I need to see one of test 2, the active one only. So I see test 1, test 2, but I don't see the other one. So it has made a little bit of a mistake here, I think. Can you verify what test at architect.com can see? It's supposed to see 3 listings, 2 of its own and 1 active one of test 2. I'm fairly sure the policy was okay, but there may be a subtle edge case. Oh, my bad. Both of test 2 are marked inactive. Okay. So it wasn't that the policy was wrong or anything. It's just both of test 2 were marked inactive. Yeah. Oh dear. So we need to edit this and mark it as active. Yeah. Double click. Okay. So once it's marked as active, refresh the page. Now when we authenticate as test.architect, we should be able to see all three, including one of test two's active listing as well. So the policies were fine. I was just like, the status was just not right. There may be a way to show the status name field here. That's for a different day. The file storage bucket part, that's probably for a later video. For now, I think this is comprehensive and detailed enough already. What did we learn? Just as a quick recap: how to define data types, how to define privacy rules, how to add some dummy data, how to use the Supabase AI editor. Claude is a bit better. I hope by now you're like, this is kind of like Bubble, okay? Because practically speaking, it was. Bubble was just an abstraction on top of Postgres, the SQL database, and Supabase is also on top of Postgres SQL database. So it's not like the world of code or the world of web apps. They're all ones and zeros at the end of the day. In the next episode, I plan on displaying these listings in the front end, similar to how it would be in a repeating group, just display the data as well. It's not going to take a lot of prompts, and your first real marketplace will start coming alive. If you want to accelerate your transition from Bubble to AI code, you can join the school community that I have. There's about 100 of us here trying to navigate from no code to AI code. And I've got a bunch of AI code courses. There's a complete SaaS build, a crash course. There's some live Q&As happening every week as well. One of our recent community members built his first version 1 through AI code. He was a Bubble developer. If you're confused about any topic, just drop a comment below. Happy to answer anything. Thanks. Bye.